Welcome to the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where we talk books, drink booze, and have beards.
All right. As always, I'm Bob of Tales by Bob.
I'm the ass of the podcast, Derek.
I am best creativist consultant, Tanya.
Okay.
Social media.
No,
person.
your new name. You're not even Tanya anymore. You're literally just best creativist.
Best creativist.
Now,
Best most.
And see, I like that because in an anime that I like, there's a character named Best Genist. So you're best creativist.
Best creativist.
Oh, that's nailed it. That's your new name.
Done.
Got it.
Check.
We got there. We got there, people.
I'll change my Twitter handle right now.
Oh,
best
yeah.
creativist.
Best creativist.
Get on that. So this is our fourth bi-monthly book club book, and it is Jade City by Fonda Lee. Hope you've all read it. If you haven't read this podcast, fuck me.
That's impressive.
If you
Reading
haven't,
podcasts is
if you
difficult.
haven't read this book,
Synesthesia?
But-
Is that where they can see
colors,
and
yeah,
hear colors?
yeah. But if you haven't read this book, but
should.
you want to, stop listening to this podcast. But if you're not going to read this book, listen away. But it's going to be full of spoilers.
Legitimately, if you're one of those people that don't mind spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like me,
Some
I don't really mind
Some
spoilers.
people don't mind it, which is weird, and we need to have a conversation about that because you care about plot the most, and yet you don't care if people spoil it before you read it.
Because
So
all
that
he
seems
wants to know is
counterintuitive
your
to
A to
me.
B. All he wants to know are the main high points. If you tell him the main high points, it's good.
Yeah.
That's all he wants to
Then
know.
why
That's
read it afterwards?
Well, he reads the wiki.
Well, that's my
mean-
point.
Well, most of the time, like I just don't mind if people do some spoilers for me. Like if I know I'm about to read the book, I'll be like, well, maybe not.
I see what you're saying.
But like if it's like a lot of times I know like, oh, well, you can go ahead and tell me because by the time I get around to reading it, I'll probably have forgotten. You know,
Well, that's fair.
so
That's fair.
and like movies, I don't watch a lot of movies anyway, and unless it's a movie like The Sixth Sense where the twist is kind of the point.
Yeah.
I don't care. Spoil it. Whatever. So real quick, a little bit about Fonda Lee. She looks eerily similar to our friend Lucy. If there's pictures of Lucy from 10 years ago, and they could be sisters. It's kind of creepy. But she writes science fiction and fantasy for adults and teens. She's the author of the Greenbone Saga, which begins with Jade City, which is published by Orbit. And it won the 2018 World Fantasy Award for Best Novel. And it was also nominated for the Nebula and Locus Awards. It was named a Best Book of 2017 by NPR, Barnes & Noble, Sci-Fi Wire, and others. Before that, she wrote a young adult science fiction series. The novels are Zero Boxer, EXO, and Crossfire. And they've gained numerous accolades. In 2018, she gained the distinction of winning the Aurora Award, which is Canada's National Science Fiction and Fantasy Award. She won it twice in the same year, once for Best Novel and once for Best Young Adult Novel, because one of her young adult novels, Jade City, came out in the same year.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Was it the same book that
Yeah,
just was in
like-
both categories?
No,
or-
it was.
Cool.
She had a,
Was it probably like the third in the series and then the first
yeah,
of
I
the
think it was
Jade?
Crossfire and Jade City came out in the same year.
Cool.
She is before she became an author, she was a corporate strategist who worked for or advised a number of Fortune 500 companies.
This makes so much sense.
She holds black belts in karate and kung fu, loves smart action movies like The Matrix, Inception, and Minority Report, and is an Eggs Benedict enthusiast.
God, I love an Eggs Benedict.
Never had one.
Well, that's what
And about that life.
when we took our Michigan trip, that's what I had for breakfast that morning at the really nice place.
The thing that looked disgusting, probably.
Oh
Probably,
God,
yeah.
it was so good. They put avocado on it.
How about you avocado don't?
Ew.
She was born and raised in Calgary, Canada, but she currently resides in Portland, Oregon. So, some kind of cool things. So, there is a hashtag on Twitter. It's hashtag MSWL. And it's something that book agents use. It's manuscript wish list.
Right.
So, they put out
Looking for this.
I would love a book that was like this, hashtag manuscript wish list. And so then if you have a book that fits that,
Hit him up.
you should hit them up.
Ooh, clever.
So
That's handy
This-
as fuck.
So I don't know if like a buyer or someone for Orbit put out I want a Game of Thrones-esque book set in a world inspired by 1930s Asia and gang families and magic.
Boom.
And
So
Fonda Lee's agent saw that and was like,
I've got that.
quick, submit. And so, yeah. And it was like, Fonda Lee was like, holy shit, someone requested my exact book. Except it's more,
Yeah.
except it's like more like 1970s than
Yeah.
1930s.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
she's
still.
like, fundamentally,
Yeah.
it's exact. And the agent was like, holy shit, that's
Yeah.
fucking perfect. So the last little thing, if you go onto her website, she has an extras section that has just tons, like basically all the interviews that she's done and like podcasts she's been on and things like that.
Which I just discovered as I was writing my notes for this,
Yeah.
and
There's cool maps on there.
I don't know why I'm spending the rest of the day with you guys when I should be
just reading all
yeah.
those. So I found this. She was. It was talking. Mary Robinette Quall's blog. She has a thing like best parts or something like that. She asked an author like, "What's your favorite part of your book?" And so this was what was part of what Fonda Lee said. She said, "There's a quote I saw on the internet once of someone complaining, 'Yoga is such bullshit. I've been doing it for 6 months and I can't even breathe fire yet.'" Which, relatable. She said, "That sentiment is remarkably similar to what drove me, in part, to write Jade City. See, I'm a martial artist who's been practicing pretty regularly since I was a teenager. I'm also a big fan of martial arts movies. Granted, I'm no professional fighter, but even after years of training, I've never come close to being able to fly, run up walls, punch through concrete, or fight blindfolded. So while I have so many favorite bits in Jade City, I'm especially fond of the disciplines of Jade magic martial arts: lightness, perception, deflection, strength, steel, and channeling." So it's kind of wish fulfillment for her.
Yeah. Neat.
Like, man, rad.
I wish I could fly.
So that was all I have a little bit about. We'll talk about Jade War.
Yeah.
At the end, but yeah. So unlike our last book club, we
Yikes.
all really liked this book.
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
enjoy it.
I wasn't. I
Yeah.
we
we
haven't
haven't
discussed
really talked
Derek-
about it, but no, I really
Derek-
liked it.
Fanatically loves this book. I love this book.
Here's the thing, though. I borderline loved this book when I read it the first time. Then I read it again.
You did audiobook the second time.
No, I've done audiobook both
Oh,
times.
okay.
But holy shit, the second time. I don't know why. I guess it was because I was.
Well, if the first time it's stressful reading it because bad things are going to happen.
I think
it's it's stressful. Oh my god!
I was about to say. I think what it is that I was paying close attention to what was happening the first time, and then how it was done the second time. So I appreciated it the first time, but didn't love it. Then I saw how the meal was made the second time. I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah. So if you haven't read it, aren't going to read it, Jade City is basically The Godfather by Mario Puzo with a Asian setting and magic. Now, it's not like no one's throwing fireballs. It's not that kind of magic.
The way I like to look at it is it's Godfather meets anime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
Because-
way to put it. Basically, there is a type of jade. This is a fictional island called Kekon, or Kekon.
K-Con.
Kekon, and there is this substance, this type of jade that certain people, when they wear it, can unlock magical
They get superpowers.
ability.
Well, actually, it works for everyone.
Well, unless
But,
they're
well, except for the abuke. But
well, and the
Stone
what's
eyes,
the stone eyes?
Stone Eyes, yeah. But the problem is everyone else, like, it'll kill them because they can't control the power.
right.
And
There's certain people
there's-
that have the ability to use this without it killing them.
yeah, basically.
And they
I think I'm getting that right.
they do a lot of training.
Yeah, because
They-
anybody can have it, but then you're going to get the itches and
Right.
go crazy and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But you have to
and
be
even
able to
people who are
trust
of
it.
these bloodlines that can wear it, sometimes they do. It can drive them crazy.
Gotta be careful with how much you use.
Yeah.
and-
Too much. So like when most of them go through academies, and you get like you start out with like basically like a tiny earring or a little wrist,
pebble.
little
Yeah, a
pebble,
couple
and then like
beads.
as you get older and
Stronger.
you start wearing more and more jade, and if you beat someone, you can take their jade, stuff like that. It's really cool. It's done super well, and like the magic isn't like the point of the book. The magic is just flavor to the book. It's what makes it different from I mean, obviously it's not exactly like The Godfather, but it's very much. There are two crime families, the two largest crime families in K-Con go to war. Is more or less if you had like the overarching plot is the friction between these two families. Yeah. Now the focus is on the quote the good guys, like their family and like what goes on with them.
Here's something I want to ask.
Okay.
Are they technically crime families?
No. I don't think they're
yes.
crime families.
Yeah, no, they're definitely crime families.
I don't think
What
so.
crime do they get involved in?
Extortion and
Well, no, but I mean, from what I understand, they don't actually threaten to destroy the things if they don't get paid.
If the people don't pay protection to their family, the other family will come in and
wreck their shit.
I mean, that's what mafia like that was a major
Yeah.
source of income for American mafia
Well,
families.
no, I
is
know that,
collecting
but I also
protection.
thought that was mostly because if you didn't pay that family would make you would destroy your shit. Whereas in this one, it doesn't seem like they.
Well, I think
would.
it's more culturally ingrained here.
Okay.
But I mean, you look at the moment like war starts.
Mm-hmm.
It's we are attacking this place like there, and then like there's
I wasn't disagreeing. Yeah. I was just
they're more. They are more sanctioned, more culturally ingrained in the society. Crime families,
mm-hmm.
like it's, but like one thing it doesn't really focus on, but it kind of talks about. There's a lot of people that, like in the more modern parts of the city, that try and not have anything to do with the crime families. And,
right.
I think at one point even talked like some of the politicians talk about like they would like to do away with them, to move the country forward. I think there's like it's not like a long discussion, but
they don't. I don't think they actually say something like that. But I think what they're saying is they want to create sections of the city where they won't go, so that
the tourists
will be safe.
So, and I mean, I assume that they have laws against murder and stuff like that.
I know, but it was just one of those things where I always immediately assumed that this was like crime.
Yeah.
But then the more I started looking at it, I was like, is it? Yes, but
I think part of that is because in the book, most of the quote crime, like obvious crime, is done by the Mountain Clan. We're smuggling drugs, we're skimming the top of this. You have more of that from the Mountain Clan, which is not the clan that we follow.
Right.
So, the clan that we're following, they're not necessarily showing us all of their dirty shit. But I mean, there is a lot of
and also
protection and shit like that happening.
Yeah, it's crime. It's crime against criminals.
Yeah.
To a large degree. Now there are, like when they attack that restaurant and take over that, the guy who owns that restaurant is not a criminal. But
because the way I always thought about it is, it never felt like to me that they were extorting them so much as promoting them. Like you pay them money, they will endorse you, like they will come and use your establishment.
Well, I think this is not the realm of this podcast to discuss, but in American culture, we tend to demonize certain types of crime and idolize other types of crime.
Yeah.
Like organized crime and like motorcycle clubs tend to be, by large swaths of the population, like idolized. They're like the fact that they're criminals is kind of glossed over to, like, when you're talking about like your Hell's Angels and stuff like that. Like obviously not all people
kids
who
are so cool.
not
Yeah,
all
that.
people who ride motorcycles or in clubs are criminals, but like you have certain criminal
Elements.
biker organizations
Yeah.
out there, but they're idolized. It's like, oh man, yeah, they sell meth, but the freedom, man.
Well, see-
and then like the mafia is like I hear it all the time because like I was heavily obsessed with the mafia when I was a teenager. Like I read all the Mario Puzo
You assassinated
books.
people, right?
Like, oh, it was great. And like when I was younger though, like it was very easy for me to like make the arguments of like, oh, well, they actually bring down crime. They keep the crime organized and keep it,
Yeah.
like protection's a good. Oh yeah, like they stop like street crime,
Right.
As though there's a difference. As though like their organized crime is fundamentally any different from a
Petty theft.
crime. It's
Yeah.
still crime. They're still killing people. Like
Yeah.
so, but like it. So I think, at least for me, like looking at the Jade City, it's easy to set. Oh, well, they're criminals, but they're not.
They totally just bribed the government.
Yeah, they're not
That's
that,
okay.
but so I think that might be somewhat at play here.
One of the things that I think about is where the system came from. Think about where the system came from.
Guerrilla fighting from
It
their
wasn't.
version
It
of World War
wasn't.
II.
It wasn't. Yeah, but it wasn't. They weren't being provided money so that they wouldn't, break their shit up, or they were paying them to help support the resistance to get their country free.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I can see how definitely that's how the tributes started. Was before the
Yeah.
clan split, the town was like, "Oh, here, come stay here. We'll feed you. Here's a little money. Fight the good fight." But once the fight is over, you still have people going, "No, bitch, I still want to eat here for free."
Well, I don't even know if it.
Well,
is
but
it,
even like there's an analog in American culture. During World War II, the government worked with like the mafia families of New York to basically patrol the docks and like be an anti-spy organization. Like the mafia had such control over the docks that they'd be like, well, hey, if
While you're
you,
there.
you notice any Germans roaming around, maybe you could let us know, kind of deal. So like,
Yeah. We'll
now-
let you do your thing as long as you're going to let us know if any of them.
well, no, but
Yeah.
here's where I'm coming at from it. Like, because they were helping them fight off to get the people out of their country so that they could get their country back. After that, they're seen as war heroes. People still want to, not necessarily, and obviously but they would still want to have them around because they're a sign of prestige.
Yeah.
So if Carl Sin is a national hero, you want him to come and you want him to come eat at your restaurant because it's going to help you. And it's already built in where you're already giving him tributes because he was needing that to help fight. Now you're just giving him more because you're like, we want to continue showing us that we support you. And then he's like, well, I mean, I guess I'll take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting. I'm
It
not
is.
saying
it's like it's basically like I could see a similar thing. Like again, not to keep harping on this, but like if the mafia had been around during the Revolutionary War, and if they had funded the revolution, I could see where. Like now, I'm sure by this point it would be different. But like I could see somewhat of a similar thing going on there. Like, oh well, hey, they were instrumental in the revolution, so it's much more culturally acceptable.
Yeah.
And they're so at that point they're so ingrained. Like that's the thing. Is like
because if it weren't for them,
well, like these clans are so heavily ingrained in the government as well. Like they are like openly involved in the government.
yeah.
So
Even though you're
Yeah.
not supposed to have jade and gold
Well, they
together. They don't, but they have the
They have
they have the
influence.
chancellor who's in my pocket, but I am not sitting on the council.
yeah.
But you are, and you're gonna basically do what I tell you to do.
So what was your favorite? If you had to pick one element to be your favorite of this, Tanya, do you?
I'm gonna need a minute.
Derek, do you have
Everything.
everything?
No, I can be a little more specific than that. The thing that, well, first of all, really everything. But
Yeah.
if I'm going to be specific, and it's a thing that I didn't pick up on until the second time I went through it, what I like a lot about political intrigue and Wheel of Time, which are things that I really, really like,
Yeah.
this has. Any interpersonal communication between people, you're seeing them act as well as why they're doing what they're doing in their heads. And being, for example, the scene where Kalan is meeting those people, but his Jade is messing with his head.
Yeah.
So he's having to manipulate the circumstances of the meeting so that he doesn't let on that he's hurt, and also so that they don't know that he, lost control for a minute and was hearing white noise. So he had his guy come and pretend to be whispering to me right now, and while I get this under control.
Yeah.
All those small little tactic things, that's what I like about political intrigue stories, and that's what I like about Wheel of Time when they did the political stuff in that, because you're seeing the conversation and you're being presented it so you can take it from just face value, but then they cut a one layer down to show what's actually going on and why, and it gives you just a different layer of understanding.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. Tanya?
I liked how the characters that we follow are they're kind of they're more multifaceted than a lot of other characters that I think you could get in a similar setting. So, we've got, Kalan, who's, has to project this image of I've got all my shit together, and he's doing his best to be the pillar that he, wasn't prepared really to be. And so, he's got his shit together, but then we also see him wrangling with that. We see Hilo, who wasn't raised at all to ever be pillar.
Yeah.
Never in his mind thought he
Yeah.
would ever be pillar. And now he's in this position where he's like, well, fuck, now I have to do this thing. The position that I'm in is requesting that I do this thing. All of my instincts are telling me this other thing. And then, also, I love this person who I'm not really supposed to be in love with, but I also want to protect her and do what's right. And so that... I feel like none of these people that we see are truly good people, and none of them are truly bad people. I mean, okay, they're all criminals, whatever, but no one is a caricature.
Yeah, I think Hilo is a incredibly stand-up guy, but he also kills people a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
See, you brought this up. So one of the first things, I've got 5 pages of notes.
Yeah.
One of the very first things that I said was that this is the kind of urban fantasy that I've always wanted to read, or contemporary. I don't know how you would phrase it.
We talked about it a little bit last night, and this is, I think, the technical genre for this is not urban fantasy.
But you know
I
what
think
I
it's
mean.
Contemporary fantasy.
Yeah.
It's fantasy in a modern setting.
Right.
It's not
So I've
urban
Yeah.
fantasy.
I've always wanted to like that kind of thing, but every time
It's hard to find good stuff.
every time I tried it, I always enjoyed the idea of the idea of a modern setting with fantastical powers is
Yes.
fascinating to me. But every time I started trying to read them, I would be hit with characters that are tropey,
Yeah.
filled with either brooding edgelord stereotypes of
Yes.
role-playing chat rooms from the early 2000s,
Gross, yes.
or tongue-in-cheek prose that
Yeah.
would throw me out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I got neither of those in this.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
I was
yeah.
fucking sold.
I loved how the world building, it felt real, it felt lived in. Nothing felt like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to tell you this in passing because it's only relevant right now. I felt like everything was built in a cohesive way where, when we find out that the Mountain Clan has been squirreling away Jade, and that they've also been making...
The synthetic.
Yeah, the name
SN1.
escapes me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to think of the slang name and I couldn't.
Shine.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. But they've also been manufacturing that, and how they're exporting that to see discontent other places.
Yucatan.
It was
Something. Like
Igutan.
Yeah.
I think it was. I remember the names of the different places, but I can't remember which one's which. I get
Yeah.
confused.
Yucatan, what I gather, Yucatan is the analogy to China
Okay.
in this.
Yeah.
Whereas Hispania is supposed to be Britain. Rough,
Yeah, I kinda got
rough.
that.
It's like
Yeah.
a Brit. For all it sounds like Spain. I think it's really supposed to be more of a Britain analog.
I just
Or an
every time I
American
saw
analog,
España, I was just thinking Western world. I was
Yeah.
just thinking
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah,
Like,
this is
broadly Western Europe.
Yeah,
I
this
generally
is not.
thought UK. Yeah.
This is not Earth. For those who haven't read it, it is an Earth, but like all the countries, there's no America, there's no UK. Like all the
Yeah.
countries are made up,
Yeah.
but they have
Similarities.
to Earth
Yeah.
stuff.
No, I loved how the world felt real. And the characters felt real. I don't know. I guess Derek, it kind of builds on what you were saying, is like it didn't feel cheap the way a lot of other stories that if they were written in the same setting with the same story, it would have come off campy kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
My
what I appreciated.
Yeah. My favorite thing was I just have one of my favorite things in fantasy is like noble houses, political intrigue,
Yeah.
going to war, that kind of deal. And while these are not noble houses, effectively it is two
Great
political
houses, yeah.
two political families going after each other. And I just, for my money, cannot get enough.
Doesn't
of
get
that.
much better than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And this is done incredibly well. So,
Yeah. I love it.
Which her background, once you mentioned that, the idea of her like thinking about all those like boardroom meetings and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I was like, this makes so much more sense now.
Yes.
Well, I bet you that's why that there was such an emphasis on the weathermen.
Which I love.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
you like. I've read The Godfather 4 or 5 times, and you don't really. There's not a focus so much on the financial side of things. Like they talk about it a little bit, but not to the degree that Fonda does.
Good, because this is better.
Yeah, no. I mean, I love The Godfather, and I would put this probably fractionally ahead, because mainly because the magic is so cool. Like it's The Godfather with a extra cool element.
You mean the finance isn't the extra cool element?
I liked. I've always found like triads to be real fascinating, and Fonda, she talked about in one of her interviews about like they're like, well, how did you come up with the names for all these things? And it's based on like triads. Triads all have like every rank in there has some weird name. Like it's not horn and pillar and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but they all have a name, like the weatherman or something like that. So that's neat.
Yeah,
I like that.
That is one of the absolute coolest things about this world. One of the little things that just brings, I feel like you know how I am with names.
Yeah.
Names are really important to me for things. The names of like fist, finger, pillar, weatherman, all that stuff. The terminology.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm gonna get this wrong, and I always look it up because I can never remember it perfectly. But when they go to war, it's called like coming out of the forest or
Coming
something.
down from the
Coming
mountain.
down from the mountains.
No, I think it's coming down from the forest.
Oh yeah, from the forest.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
or they whisper someone's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
yeah.
Like you could just
They whispered Hilo's name.
what? Right,
Bitch. What? Yeah.
That was probably the most fun I had when she was reading that book, because she just sent me a Snapchat of that part where they were like they're bloodied and they whispered Hilo, and she was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Right?" I was like, I still think I have. I think I took a screenshot. I think I have it somewhere
Yeah.
because it was just like, "Yes, this book is the best."
Yeah, it was. I really liked it.
Yeah. So, one thing I wanted to talk about is, all right, so there are 4 main characters, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's Lan, who is the pillar, the head of the No Peak clan when the book starts. There's his brother Hilo, who is the fist, which is like the war leader.
Horn.
Horn,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's Horn.
Horn. There is Shay, who is their sister, who when the book starts, she's
Just
out.
coming back.
Yeah, she's just coming out. She's out of the family. She ain't coming back to the family.
Yeah.
And then there's Emery Andon, who is their adopted brother. And he's like in school. So Lan dies. Hilo becomes pillar. Shay comes back as weatherman. Emery goes through school. one thing I thought was
Well, he does more than go through school, because like you're kind of like at the end of the book, you kind of told where everybody is. Where is he at the end of the book?
he's rejected having Jade whatsoever.
Yeah, and
which
fucking
is,
bounced.
and bounced. Yeah. So this is an element that I hate in books, and this does it. Is like I don't hate it, like it doesn't ruin a book for me. I just hate reading this because to me it's like so fucking stupid. It's when so like the
Lay it on me. I know exactly
the
where
no
we're going.
peak are basically destroying themselves. The only time they take any real damage in this book is because they did something stupid and it comes back to fuck them over. They let that squirrely little shit go and he kills Lan.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Basically, he's responsible for Lan's death. They baby fucking Alzheimer dementia patient granddad who is Satan and
Creepy
because
pedophile uncle guy.
yeah, and pedophile uncle guy gets away. Like anytime anything really fucky happens, it's because they didn't do what they needed to do.
Well, their niceness is coming back to get them.
So like that, because like in the war, even though that they were kind of the underdogs, they hold their own. They make it last long enough till they can get more recruits. Like they did what they needed to do, did a good job. Like they were seemingly the smarter, more tactically sound.
This isn't where I thought you were going,
Yeah.
but okay, I know.
But anytime something goes bad for them, it's because they made a stupid decision. Like, oh, Granddad is fucking Satan, but let's let the guy that's a known traitor who knows everything about everything. And let's
Hang
let
out
him
with Granddad.
let him hang out with evil Granddad, who will, he's constantly Satan to us and thinks that we're dumb and are doing everything wrong. And but let's not tell Granddad that the weatherman was a traitor, because that would hurt.
Let's just take his Jade and let him hang out together.
That hurt his feels. And so and then he fucking escapes, and then now he's in Yucatan now, right?
He's I forget where he went.
I think the mountain sent him to Yucatan.
I can't remember. See, I actually wasn't sure.
And I think that's gonna really fuck them up in the second book.
Thing. I actually, and I've read this book twice, and I'm halfway through a third listen. I can't remember specifically if they say he's reconnected with the mountain or if he's just on the run.
I think the suspicion is that he's with the mountain, but I don't think we have confirmation.
Yeah,
that he's with
I think
the
the implication was that he's in Yucatan for the mountain. That was kind of the implication I read. It's been a long time,
on
but
the take for the mountain.
Yeah, like it's clear it's clear that he was working with the mountain, and it's clear that he thinks that the current generation of calls are not with it, and he's in Yucatan where the mountain is known to have operations. So I think like just kind of connecting the dots.
I'm gonna disagree with part of that. I don't think he thinks that the current generation of calls are a problem. That wasn't his issue. He actually still thinks that they do a good job and cares about them. The problem is he's trying to do exactly what Call Sin wants. And Call Sin wants them to be one clan again.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes to get one clan again is what he's willing to do. Which is why he was willing to sacrifice Hilo. He was less comfortable with the idea of getting rid of Lon or Shay.
Well, it's because Hilo's a hothead and not built for leadership, because he wasn't raised for leadership.
Which brings me to...
So
do you have more to say about this?
No, that was like again, I read this before anyone else, and it's been 6 months or more since I read it, so I don't remember a lot of the fine details. I just remember that's something that really stood out. And then the other thing I remember is what I think we're about to start talking about is some of it me and Tanya kind of agree on, and Derek thinks is wrong.
Yes.
Me and Tanya think that Shay should be the pillar. I think Shay has...
Give me your case, and then I will rebuttal.
So she has a bigger pictured mind.
Mm-hmm.
She's been away from the family. She's gotten some perspective. She's come back. She has a tactical mind, but in a different way from Hilo. Hilo is very tactical, but in a physical sense because he was Horn, he was raised to be Horn, and that's how he thinks. He can't think, he struggles to think from some tactical other than physical violence.
He's tactical, not strategic.
Yeah. So, like, Shay, she can see that it's easier for her to see that the answer isn't always, we're going to go beat your face in and take your jade. Because that can't be how you interact with everything. And
Hilo does get better about that. He
does, but he stayed in town the whole time, so he has a reputation that will forever precede him as to being a guy who's going to be quick to beat your face in. But Shay, you know, she's been gone. She can come back with a different perspective and still be a leader for the clan, but without everybody having this preconceived notion of who she is and how she's going to lead. And therefore, she's going to be harder to figure out. Because Hilo, you know how he acts, so you know how to goad him, you know how to poke him, and you kind of can figure out what he's going to do.
They both have baggage.
Yes.
Hilo's baggage is violent baggage. Shay's baggage is outsider baggage. But the thing about it is, like, I think Hilo can be a decent pillar. Like, I think he's clearly growing and learning. But I just think he's never going to be palatable enough to the politicians. Yeah. I think Shay can bridge the gap with the politicians better, and that's so important as a pillar. And that's why I think she should transition. Like, right now, I don't think they would accept her as pillar. Like, the clan just wouldn't.
Yeah, she hasn't been around long enough.
She hasn't been around long enough. There's too much outsider. But I think long term, she should transition to from Weatherman to pillar, and Hilo should go back to being Horn. I think
Hilo dies, and that's how Shay becomes pillar.
Probably.
Ultimately, because I think that's Hilo's fate of sorts.
Yeah, I follow Fonda Lee on Twitter. I'm fairly confident that's what's going to happen. Well, not that specific. I just mean that Hilo's not long for this world, or he's not going to survive the trilogy.
Yeah,
and I say that because she mentioned how she had just finished the third book and she was weeping and was like, no one is going to understand for a fucking year and change why I'm crying right now.
Yeah.
And Nicholas Eames was like, is it because only good things happen and Hilo lives the rest of his life in happiness? I'm 100% sure that's what it is. Please. And then he's like, don't take this from me.
No, I mean, I love Hilo as a character. I just don't think
he's my favorite. He's my second favorite character. No, correct. No, he's my favorite. He is my favorite character. What's your favorite character? And then I have a follow-up thing that'll allow me to say what I want to say.
I think, for me, it's a tie between Hilo and Shay. I like Shay's coming home story.
Which I'm a huge fan of coming home.
I love Shay's, that story arc where she left and she did some questionable things in her youth. And
return.
Yeah, and there's that coming back home and that finding my place again and combating I'm not the girl I was when I left. I'm a grown-ass woman, but, how do I find my place within my family again? Yeah. I love her arc, but I still think I enjoy Hilo better as a character.
Yeah, I loved her arc, but it did annoy me a little bit. Not from a craft. It made perfect sense. It just annoyed me a bit how hard she fought.
That's what I thought you were going to talk about earlier. Yeah, I was like, here comes the Rand.
That kind of annoyed me that she fought so hard to come back, but it was mitigated by how awesome it was. Like, just the fact that she's like, well, let me go investigate. I'll go investigate these mines for you, and then just how all in she went on that.
When Lon died, and Hilo's like, we're just gonna go shoot up the place, and she's like, brother, you are dumb. Let's do my plan. And it was brilliant. And that's why I think Shay is the better pillar. Because Hilo was just going to go run down the street, guns a-blazing. And she's like, no, let's do a plan and trap them bitches.
I need you guys to clear out because I'm about to go fucking 1v5 for a while now. So, wrong. No, but, okay, so Hilo is the best. Hilo should be pillar. Hilo also should always have been pillar, and here's why I say this. A lot of different reasons. First of all, he does something that none of the other children do not do. He's a natural-born leader. He treats everybody as an individual. He learns about them and figures out how to give them what they need to follow him. There's a scene where Andon is about to get into a fight with one of his other school students. He shows up, interferes, and is like, hey, let's stop this. Diffuses the situation, cheers the guy up, pulls Andon to the side, and is like, you can't do that.
Yeah, you're talking shit about his dad, which makes him feel like less than garbage. That's not how you lead people.
You can't do that. And he's like, and people
that's how you
have
command people, but not lead people.
He's like, you have to understand your people to lead them correctly. Everybody needs to be led differently. Because of the life that he's led, if you come at him like that, he's going to dig in and he's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
You got to know how to deal with him. So that's part of it. It's like he understands people.
Yeah.
He gets it. He takes things too personally because he's a very emotional dude. But part of what makes that good is the fact that he empathizes with people and understands where they're coming from. If
you look at I'll tell you, have you read The Godfather?
No.
The Godfather will show you why you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The Godfather has a kind of, so in The Godfather there's there's 4 children. Mm-hmm. It's the Don Corleone.
We talking Sonny here?
And his 4 children. Yes, Sonny. Mm-hmm. Sonny and Hilo are somewhat the same character. I mean, there's some
parallels. Yeah, I've seen the movie. I just haven't read the book.
The movie's pretty true. But the book goes more into depth. Like, Sonny is super charismatic. His people love him. He is an exceptional leader of people. But being a good leader of people does not translate to leader of organizations.
Here's why he's still better. And I've taken that into consideration. Also, so he does that. What makes that okay is because he would have Shay as his weatherman. Because she keeps the long game. The only problem I have is, like, the way I see it, legitimately, from the beginning, the way this should have been was he should have been pillar, Lon should have been his weatherman, but then he should have been... I have a lot of thoughts on this, but here's why I say this, because I think that Shay should be the weatherman. The only problem is they have so much personal baggage between the two of them that if Lon was in that position... Hilo would give him the amount of respect and say in his decisions because he's his older brother. Whereas he is so constantly been hurt by Shay over the course of their life that I think he will disregard her in some situations. Like, not many.
But where it matters.
Yeah.
But enough to where it could cause a little bit of difference. Where if it was Lon saying the same thing, he would probably listen.
Yeah. Well, I again, using the Sonny example, is how they get Sonny is they know about his temper and they know about his specific, like, they know certain things set him off above all others. And Hilo's kind of like that. You know, they can enrage him. And they enrage Sonny, and he goes tearing off before his bodyguards can follow, and they ambush him and kill him.
Right.
And, like, for your pillar, you just need someone that's emotionally more stable. Like, the Mountain is smart enough. I think they're probably going to get him is they're going to enrage him to a point where he goes tearing off without all his bodyguards or something.
My point is, if Lon were there to count, that's why I'm saying originally this is the way. Ideally,
I think Lon was a good pillar.
He was not, and I have a lot of thoughts on as why. But part of that is because he's not a leader of men. Again, like it matters, and he doesn't have the same empathy that Hilo does. And here's like you remember when you were talking about all the problems that were caused? They were all caused by Lon. They were all caused because he doesn't understand the people he's interacting with, so he doesn't know how to give them what they need to get what he wants. Hilo does. If he were the pillar and his granddad was stepping to him, he would have cuffed him in the side of the fucking head.
But I think the problem with that is I don't think we get the best view of Lon. Like, we come into Lon. He makes the one dumb decision of, okay, we're letting this fucking, what do they call him? White Rat is what the other guy is, but the Jade Thief. He lets the Jade Thief go. But then pretty soon thereafter, he is completely out of sorts because of the jade sickness.
Not as soon as you think it was.
It's pretty soon though. But like we get so much of our interaction with him is he is out of sorts because of Jade.
It's actually not. It's about half and half. About his screen time's about half and half. Because after he does that, he then immediately turns around, talks to Granddad, lets Granddad walk all over him, which is part of the biggest problem with him is that he doesn't respect you if you don't bow up on him. And he won't bow up on him because, Granddad. Like, if you did that to Hilo would have eventually just sat him down or took his fucking Jade. Because it's like, look, you can't keep doing this. I'm in charge now. You can't keep doing this. But Lon won't do that because he doesn't understand what drives his grandfather.
So that brings me to thinking about the Mountain Clan and how old girl just killed them.
Exactly.
You're going to respect me. Oh, you don't? Well, you're dead. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Like, I think I think the ideally you have someone in between Lon and the fucking mountain lady whose name I can't.
Mata.
Yeah.
Ait Mata, sorry.
Yeah. So somewhere between I'm gonna slaughter you or somewhere between like Lon, okay, Granddad, we're just gonna keep you sedated. But you keep talking about Hilo being a better leader of men, and I think he is, but a good leader of men has to have a vision of where you're going, and I don't think Hilo has that bigger picture. He's a really good leader of people, but I think he needs someone one step ahead of him to give him the bigger picture of where you're leading.
I don't think he needs to have that. I think the weatherman needs to have that. Because the way I look at it is the pillars sets the course. The weatherman's the one that tries to make it happen. That's the way Granddad and
well, that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
But in Hilo's case, the captain is blind. Like, he knows the ship incredibly. Like, he knows his ship better than anyone. He knows every little individual part on it, but he doesn't have a chart.
But that's my thing. Is like, I don't think he needs one. That's what the weatherman can do for him.
Ideally, but he doesn't listen to his weatherman.
Yeah.
Because of all his baggage with Shay. Like, he does listen to her, but I know that their baggage is going to fuck them up.
Yeah.
If Shay was the weatherman, or if Shay was the pillar, like, and he was back at being the horn, then like there would be times where, okay, friction, like, okay, got to rein him in. Like, no, don't go kill that person. Don't go kill that person. But it's not going to be the whole, like, oh, you were guiding the ship towards an iceberg kind of situation.
Here's why that doesn't work. Because the whole reason they've got to the situation they've got to as it is because Mata knows that they will rein him in. Like, the fact that Lon would not support him is what got them in the situation, because she's so ruthless and she's
so ruthless and thinks so far ahead. Like, okay,
Hilo's out of his element.
Well, here's the way. Yeah, Hilo is grossly overmatched by her strategically. So if your choice is someone who is captaining the ship at the wheel, who is steering the ship, or your choice is a captain who is telling someone to then steer the ship, you have that delay. Mata doesn't have that delay. She has the strategic. Just if Hilo stays in charge, I don't think they can win. I think Mata she has such total control and such strategic vision. She's thinking long term. Hilo cannot compete with that, and if he has to have conversations with Shay every time, like, they are less nimble. They are more reactive. They cannot be as proactive.
Okay, but my point is, things shouldn't have gotten to this point, because if, for example, the way they got to this point was she knows she can push Lon's buttons. She can take over ground because every time she does a little thing and Hilo pushes back, she can blame it on Hilo. And he will rein him in because he's a good person. you can't do that if he's in charge. Because here's the way I look at it. When it comes to having him out in the streets, that's good because he can fight back quicker and everything like that, like from a Horn perspective. But they know nothing. They never have to be concerned that it's going to go to all-out war because they know Lon will always rein him
here's
back
where
in.
you're wrong about that. Mata, if Hilo's in a different situation, if he's not reined in like that, she's going to strategically come up with a different plan. Like, she is just a better strategic mind than Hilo. Like, street fight, that's gaunt dead, you know? Like, Hilo is the better street level person, but he just can't compete with Ait. And so, like, yeah, you're right. Like, part of how they got to here was because they kept reining Hilo in. But if No Peak didn't have that strategy, like if Lon had given Hilo more reign, she would have just changed her strategy to do something else. Like, she is wicked smart.
Yeah, I know.
And so, that's the thing. Like, okay, give Hilo reign. He can go do more stuff. She's just going to do something different.
My point is, it doesn't, like, I wasn't thinking about this in comparison to her. I was just thinking about what is best for the clan. Okay, we put Shay in charge. No one's going to follow her.
You don't have to have someone to follow Shay. You have Shay running the GPS of where you're going, and that's why you.
And they're going to follow Hilo. If Hilo gets behind, like, Hilo is such a leader of men.
They have two. He won't always though. That's the thing.
But
he's not going to.
That's how you get things done. Is you have someone with the vision, who is Shay, and you have someone to execute the vision, which is Hilo. You can't have them crisscrossed as they currently are because you're squandering both of the best talents of both of them. They are in the wrong position because Shay has the vision. Shay is more of a match to the Mountain Clan than Hilo ever will be. So you need to get Shay in where she can think more steps ahead and try to figure out what the Mountain Clan is doing.
She is a great weatherman, but she also is a really good street level fighter. As the opening salvo of the show, like she can think street level and strategically. Hilo can kind of think strategically, but really and truly, he's a wizard at street level stuff. Put them where they're strongest.
I know, but the thing is. And my argument is generally, he just doesn't want to do it. Like, he was not. That's not what he was. Yeah, he just doesn't want to have to deal with those things. It's not that he can't, so he doesn't have to.
Okay, but
and he's never had to.
But you can't have someone being the head of something who doesn't want to do it. That just means they're not right placed, and that happens. It happens. It happens at work when you've got someone who's really good at doing their individual job, and then you promote them to a supervisor, and they struggle because it's a lot different getting people to do other things versus doing it yourself. Well, Hilo is very used to, I can get you to help me, but I'm very much doing this myself. And then to raise him another level where he is even more disconnected from the thing that he's good at, which is doing the things himself.
So
they're just not right.
Here's
placed.
one of another issue. Hilo, before Lon passed, he saw the problem coming that was going to come, and that's that the clan's going to back Hilo more than him. That's just what's going to happen because he's a leader of people. Lon is not.
Hilo is charismatic. Lon was not. Charisma doesn't make you a good person or a good leader. It just makes you charismatic.
Lon also doesn't understand what he did not.
No, I don't think anyone is arguing you that Hilo's not a good leader.
He's a wonderful leader. Yeah, he's just not right placed. For the longevity of No Peak, he is not right placed.
Okay.
To utilize his best strengths for the benefit of the clan, it's not him as pillar. It's him back at Horn.
Let's take Petrie, for example.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make the argument because, look, full disclosure, I don't like Shay. Shay is not a good character. Shay is a spoiled brat who ran away from her responsibilities to her family the moment the golden child, got in trouble for borderline treason, if anyone noticed. Just pointing that out.
No, I mean, that's why I said, like, she made some mistakes in her youth. She ran off, got her own life, found her own identity, came back, and you've got that weird integration.
Yeah, but see, that's not even what it was, because she came back and didn't want to be a part of the family.
Yeah.
She purposely
She's the
wanted...
She's the Michael Corleone of this. Like, Michael never wanted to be part of the family.
I mean, you can't help what you're born into. You don't have to be a part of it just because that's
but see, this is also ridiculous because she spent her entire life making decisions that she wanted this life. And then when they yelled at her once, she gave up and ran away. Like, she legitimately, she was groomed as the golden child.
Yeah. But you could also think about it this way, though.
Down to,
like, in that same situation, what would have happened? Like, if every kid was in that same situation, what would have happened? Lan would have taken it. Hilo probably would have fought back, done something rash and angry. And she just said, well, fuck y'all. I'm out.
Hold on. What are we talking about here?
Like, if all the kids have been put in the same situation that caused Shay to just be like, fuck this, I'm out. Because Shay is very much a, like, fuck that. Like, yes, she turned her back on her family, but it came from an inner strength. Hilo could never have done that. Lan could never have done that. It did not
come from an inner strength. It came from...
To turn your back on all that and just be like, no, I'm out. I'm going to literally go to another country and make my own life. That's an incredibly strong thing to do. Now, you might disagree with it, but you can't argue that it wasn't something that took some inner strength, you know? And so, like, she is the most independent, the most free thinking, and like less bound than the other two brothers. Or her brothers. Like, she has the best mind for pillardom. Like,
okay.
I see your argument why you don't like her. I like her. I didn't at first. I came to really like her.
I don't think that Hilo is going to be a terrible pillar. And I think he will do an adequate enough job. I think Shay would be better. And I think Hilo would be better as Horn again, because that's plays off of both of their strength. But that isn't to say that Hilo is going to be terrible at pillar.
Yeah, well, I don't think that...
I mean, ultimately, all of this is for nothing because Hilo's just going to get murked. So,
not next book.
We've spent an hour talking about Hilo being the pillar, but that's just not going to be a thing.
I think he makes it to the third book.
So... Here's a question. Does No Peak survive? Do we go to being one clan again?
I think the book, the trilogy ends with one clan, but I think it's No Peak on top. I think the trilogy ends with Shay as pillar of a united K-Con criminal underworld. I think that's how this trilogy ends.
Yeah. I am concerned about where this could be going.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's the concern is what makes you read.
Well, no, but I mean, like, not in... I'm concerned that this isn't going to... I think the end of the next book is going to end with, like, basically foreign powers coming back in.
Where is Andon in all this? Where's Andy?
Because I don't care.
Andy has time. Well, no, there's a reason he exists.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think he ends, like, my prediction, long term, he has an arc and he eventually becomes Horn. When Shay becomes Pillar, he ends up becoming the Horn because there's going to be a long term arc where he figures his shit out. He doesn't have the shakes or whatever. He gets his da-da-da-da-da. I think his is this redemption arc of coming back and... he is Hilo reborn.
I think he's the trigger that sets Hilo off. I
assumed it would be as...
I think the Mountain takes Andy again. Now that he's no longer in school, they can murk him. I think they take Andy.
And they spend too much time on him. They spent too much time on him for him to effectively not have done anything in the first book for them to just kill him.
No, I mean, like, I think he goes to try to...
I think you don't... I don't know if you remember this, but, like, he's the one that killed Gom.
Yes. Yeah, no. Yeah, but it wasn't his... Yes. But he's in a lot of the book.
Yeah.
But he... like, other than that one scene, it's more or less just, like... He's
school.
a very... He goes to school. Okay, Gaunt grabbed him. He met Gaunt. Da-da-da-da. Like, it's a shit ton of screen time... for very little payoff.
Well,
not enough. Like, I just don't. I feel like no, they're not going to kill him at the beginning of the second book.
No, not at the beginning of the second book, but in my head, I can see where in the second book, maybe, Andy, he does have ties to the Mountain Clan through his mom. And so maybe, he gets it twisted in his head where he wants to protect Hilo and the rest of No Peak. So he takes it upon himself to diplomat or some dumb shit because he's a dumb kid. So maybe he tries to do that and gets himself wrapped up.
I think he's been set up to have somewhat of a redemption arc. Like he has turned his back on Jade. He is going to embrace Jade and overcome his fear of mental instability.
He'll probably do that, but what's going to get Hilo killed is the fact that... Shay has allowed his wife to become a spy.
Yeah, I think it's either Andy or his wife is going to be.
Something's going to happen to her. He's going to find out. That's my thing. Is like that's going to be the thing that breaks him from listening to Shay. That's going to be the straw that because as it is in the first book, he knows how smart she is.
I really
he
like
listens
that.
To her.
I really like that arc.
And then she's going to do that. She's going to be out there. She's going to get in. I don't even know if she necessarily needs to die. She could just get hurt.
Well, I just think he finds. I mean, the way
out.
his temper is, honestly, he just finds out about it.
I feel like he's had instances where his temper has been stoked, and then he has stopped himself when it had to do with other people. That's the one that he's not going to be able to stop.
That's what I'm saying.
I know, but we've previously talked about his temper is what's going to get him killed. If it was any other person, it wouldn't get him killed because he's already, like, when they did stuff, even to Andy, Lon was just like, calm down. And he was like, okay. And with Shay, like, when Lon got killed, he was like, I'm going to go kill everyone. And she was like, calm down. He's like, okay. He's not going to be able to do that with her. Like, he basically, in his head, has already come to the conclusion.
At that point, he had people who could rein him in. He's now the pillar. Mm-hmm. Technically, there's no one to rein him in.
Yeah, there's no one here to tell him that.
Like when Shay did that, he wasn't pillar yet. There was the more used to being in charge he gets, the longer that goes on, he's going to be less prone to being reined in. Like, that's just human nature. Like, once you're the boss, it's harder to listen to people reining you in when you are used to being in charge.
It is, but I think that he has an outsized sense of responsibility for the family that would offset that. That would make him stay his hand more often than not, except when it comes to her. So I think that's the only thing that can happen. That's just he's not going to listen.
Well, I like to think that nothing bad's going to happen to her. I really like that. I liked that whole arc. I thought that was that's another reason why I think that Shay is better suited for Pillar, because Hilo is in love with her, obviously, but what was being asked, not that risky for real. It's like, it is something that needed to be done. Shay made the move that needed to be done strategically that Hilo would never have made. Like, Hilo, it never crossed Hilo's mind, like, maybe we should try and, we got these outside forces, maybe we should like kind of deal like that. Like, that's the kind of forward thinking that I like from Shay kind of deal that that I think makes for a good pillar.
I don't know, like everyone says the granddad was a great pillar. He didn't do that either. Like, that's the thing but
it was times were very different then.
Well, not necessarily, because they've been out of the war for a long time now.
Yeah.
And he's been in charge this whole time up until like the last 6 months to a year. So like, he was still leading in peace times
Yeah.
So it's not like it was that much of a different situation. And another thing is the fact that traditionally, who of the 3 children does Call Sin dislike the most?
Hilo.
Do we know why?
Because he's a fucking hothead.
Because he's exactly the same as him. Just like, fathers disliking the parts of their sons that they see as themselves. It's the same thing. He hates Hilo because he's the same way as him. He's a great leader that everyone listens to. But they actually specifically say that he was the guy that everyone followed. Ait was the one that made the plans.
Yeah.
So like he is the prototype of the No Peak pillar.
Yeah, but there's a reason that Mountain is bigger and better than No Peak. They're the bigger, wealthier, more. They have more territory of the two. Mountain
Wasn't that since Ait took over though, or Mata? Since Ait Mata took over?
Well, I mean, they talk like territory hadn't really changed hand in a long time, so it had to be like. That's why I keep saying like leader of men does not necessarily translate to leader of organization.
But I just think that we'll move on.
We'll just have to see where the books go.
I wonder if something happens in some way, in some weird way, where Shay ends up killing Hilo. Because I feel like, that's one thing that the Mountain wanted. And, Shay was like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. But I just wonder if, like, you got to put down your family dog. You love the puppy. You don't want to do the thing, but you have to do the thing because it's something that needs to be done. I wonder if we get to that point where Hilo doesn't listen to anybody because he is used to being in charge and he's doing all these reckless things and he's inadvertently running down the family, killing the clan, and Shay steps up and
Michael kills Fredo.
Does the thing that no one wants to do.
I don't.
And then I wonder at that point if the Mountain's like, oh, respect, bitch.
Probably not, because I don't think like Ait is not going to give respect to anyone. Really, she's a sociopath, psychopath. Yeah. Like she's probably the devil. There's nothing that Shay can do to make Ait be like, oh yeah, no, that's cool, yeah, no, let's work together. Because there's no working with Ait, there's working for Ait. And I don't like. Yeah. I think Shay's rabid independent streak, she ain't working for Ait, and I don't think she'd want to.
Well, they had that meeting in the first book. That's basically what shook out. Was she was like, hey, you should get rid of your brother, and then we can maybe work something out. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know she says no, but I just wonder, I'm curious to see in the next book if something happens that kind of forces Shay.
If that happens, it won't be in the next book, I don't think.
Also, it's one of those things where, again, Hilo has such a sense of responsibility for the clan as it is. He already was like, I'll just die for the clan at the end of the first book. He's like, you don't have to, like, trick him into killing himself. If you can convince him that it's for the best, he'll just go die for the clan. Like, if you convinced him killing himself right now would win the war, he would do it.
Yeah. So let's briefly talk about Jade War. It's coming out.
Before you say anything, she keeps doing these things where she shows pictures of the advanced reader copies on Twitter, and I keep getting so mad. And then last night, she put up a thing that was like, I have a couple of these left. Who wants to draw me a piece of art and possibly win something? And I'm like, I can't draw.
You should have
sent her a stick figure, man. She probably would have been like, oh, it's adorable.
I was
a very elaborate stick figure.
So sad. She was like, some of the people that wins this,
you might have got a pity. You might have got a pity. I would just like do like it could be really bad, but just so that you put a lot of work into it, even though it was really bad.
Oh my god!
Might have got a pity. It's like, look,
you seen that picture that's like a really nicely drawn half a horse, and the back is just like stick legs, like where you're spending all your time making it really good up front, and then the back's just like, give up. Fuck it.
Yeah. And so I have this little thing about Jade War. Here's what she said. I can tell you that there will be new threats to the No Peak clan and to the country of Kakon. You'll get to see other parts of the world impacted by Jade, and there will be more scheming, betrayal, vengeance, and bloody Jade-enhanced fights. The story will remain centered on the Call family. However, that's a very strong part of my vision for this trilogy. That to be, at its core, a story about this family.
Yeah.
I think we see Yucatan. I
Yeah.
think
They're invading this country. Like, and it's going to be fucking Aitmata's fault for starting to send shit out of the country.
Yeah.
And then that's going to lead to them coming into the country. That's
Could be. I think they go to Yucatan. I think that there's stuff there. They're going. If Andon had ended in a different place, I could have seen where they send him to Yucatan. Maybe he runs away to Yucatan. I don't know. Maybe
I can't remember what they said
he's
he
there
went.
and he runs into the shamed weatherman guy whose name I can't remember, and kills him and comes back with his Doru takes his Jade, which would be his adopted grandfather's Jade, right? Because he takes his adopted grandfather's Jade, comes back, fucking.
Well, no, because
becomes the
the
horn.
weatherman got to keep his Jade. They took Granddad's Jade.
No, he didn't get to keep his.
No,
they took
the
that
weatherman's Jade
before.
and the
Granddad-
granddad gave.
Granddad had Jade. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
They had been reducing it, I think, at that
Yeah,
point.
but
Yeah.
I knew they were.
Or was it-
Yeah,
pulling
they
it back,
they'd
yeah.
taken some.
I couldn't
think.
remember if they had. Yeah, because when they confront him
been
about it, he's like,
reducing-
"You've been taking my Jade
Yeah.
anyway, so what I have left, I can do
Yeah.
with what I want."
Yeah,
what I want.
that's
All
right. That's right.
What
right.
character do you want to see more of, other than the siblings in book 2? What person do
shoot,
you want to see
what's-
the most of?
I want to see Hilo's wife.
Well,
More of her?
What's
I
her
can't-
name?
oh,
I'm blanking on it
let me
right
look it
now.
up.
Oh,
I got
it's
the thing right here.
it's Mike Wynn.
Win, right?
Yeah.
Make
Win,
win.
yeah.
Wynn.
That was my answer. I think was
Mm-hmm.
Win. I would like to
Yeah.
see because honestly, I just want to see her spend more time with Hilo and
Yeah.
like see. Oh, look at them be.
I want to
somewhat
see.
happy.
I want to see more of the Mike brothers.
Yeah.
But I want to see them start doing better. Like they're not doing good right now.
Yeah.
I want to see them doing better. Prediction for book 2. My prediction is they go to Yucatan and get the weatherman.
Basically they're just going to be fighting this war in
Yeah.
the city and not noticing the encroaching army that's about to invade.
Do you think the war actually? Because the war is at like a it hasn't officially ended.
it has? I mean,
It's at a stalemate right now, right? Like they didn't do anything to like say it's over.
oh no, it's not over.
Yeah.
But like basically, it just intensified. Like they killed
Gaunt.
Gaunt Ash,
Yeah.
and they just like she basically called in a heavy from back in the day that retired when she took over.
Yeah.
That everyone's like, oh shit, that dude's coming back. So things are about to escalate. The Jade War is about the Jade people having a war.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be a double entendre because then last
I was
third
think-
of the book is going to be the start of an invasion.
Invasion. Do we know the name of the third book?
I feel like no.
Okay. Tanya, you got a prediction for book 2?
I think I don't think we're gonna get a resolution to any of the conflict. I think maybe we see maybe not one of the siblings die in this one, but we're gonna see other important first level characters die.
Mike dies. I'm
Make.
positive. Make.
Yeah,
I'm sure a Make or 2 dies.
Tar, Ken, we'll see one of them die. Maybe Win.
Didn't they say like the younger brother's better than the older brother, but the older brother's in charge of the Makes?
I can't
I
remember.
think so.
I think so. So maybe the older Make dies and the younger brother comes in and becomes
Here's-
a better horn.
Here's what I want the second book to be, but isn't probably going to be what the second
No
book
peak
is.
wins?
No, that's not even what I want. I'm gonna go for broke here. I don't want Hilo to be dead by the end of the second book. I want him to make it, and he'll probably die in the third book. is
I
what
think he
I'm-
dies in
Yeah.
the third book.
So what I want to happen is them to be at war for the majority of this book. The last third of the book, one of the other countries invades, and the third book is about
Both of-
Aitmata and Hilo trying to work together
Yeah.
in the
And
old
becoming
rebellion,
one
coming out of the
clan
mountain again.
through-
Yeah.
And then over the course of that, both of them will probably die, and Shay will inherit the reins.
Take
Is
over.
Yeah.
Kinda,
Yeah.
Like, because then it's not like an actual war that ends with
Yeah.
them together. It's like them having to work together, but they hate each other. But then they both somehow end up dead by the end
Enemy
of
of
it.
my
And
enemy,
she's
man.
and
Yeah.
she's like, she's the best one situated to take the reins in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Because that would be the extinction of the entire Ite line, even though she was
She's
just
adopted.
adopted. And then Shay would be the last of the...
Well, maybe Shay dies and Emery takes over. So then it's
And
actually...
because he's both.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he
was adopted and he originally came from...
He unites the two.
Yeah,
He could do
because
the
he
something like
has
that.
ties to both of them.
Yeah.
Or she-
So maybe Shay stays Weatherman the whole time. Emery eventually becomes the Horn, and
then
then he
becomes
moves
Pillar.
to Pillar of both clans.
I'm mad at him right now, but I think...
What if he he turned his back on the Jade life until this invasion, and then he becomes a guerrilla fighter? That's what brings him back. It's like, I've come back
the
for
end of
Kikon.
book 2, when the invasion comes in, he's left the country and he's getting indications that it's happening, so he's on his way back during the second book,
I like it.
I can
or
see
by
that.
the end of it. And then,
So are we just going to write?
yeah, we're just gonna write it.
Yeah, we'll write the rest
You're
of it.
welcome.
All right, we'll add
So-
Fonda Lee and tell her how the third book should go.
This went a bit longer than our normal
Oh,
ones.
I'm not even close to being done with all the things I have to say, but let's go.
We could,
I know.
Yeah. We're about we're approaching I think an hour and a half right now. So
it's hard to fit so much love and discussion into an hour.
well,
That's why we do this so rarely. We only do this once every 2 months.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people would get real tired of it real quick.
I mean, shit, I get tired of listening to y'all for an hour and a half.
Wow.
I never get tired of
Yikes.
listening to me.
I can listen to me.
I do get tired of listening to me.
But yeah, no, really great book. Please, I mean, if you've gotten this far, god damn it, you should
When
have
is
fucking read
Jade
the book.
War coming out? Can we give them a date?
We could.
Anybody
We
have that on
We
hand?
forgot. It's June or July. It
'Cause
either.
I thought it
will-
was August.
August. It's either going to
It's one of
come
them
out.
J's,
It's
I'm
either
pretty
going to
sure.
come out It should be coming out around the time that this does.
Hold on. Y'all,
'Cause that's-
talk amongst yourselves. While
So
I look it up.
okay, well,
Yeah.
I think that what I really liked about this, because for those of you who have been listening to this for a while, this not this long ass episode, but us as a podcast, you might remember when we did the episode about Kings of the Wild.
July 23rd, 2019. Jade War by Fonda Lee.
Okay, this will be coming out the same. This episode will be dropping the same week as
Yes.
Jade War.
So, Kings of the Wild, we all loved,
Yeah.
and we did a
Yes.
big long episode about that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I read this book almost immediately after, and after the first initial reads, I was like, Kings of the Wild's better. No. Jade, when I went back and really looked at, because I've read
Kings of the
both
Wild
them.
is more fun.
Exactly.
This is better.
This is a better
Right.
crafted book.
right.
Yeah.
And it's more of the things that I like in a book.
Lies Lock
You know what I
Gamora is more fun. Name of the Wind, better crafted.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I think Lies of Lockamore is better crafted. Because you have to take in mind how up in the air his plot is.
Okay. Well,
And
I
it's-
well, Lies Lock Gamora is fundamentally a standalone book.
Yeah. In my
Yeah.
to me it is.
But King Killer is very much a trilogy, so it's unfair to directly compare until the third book comes out.
God, that's a
When it
whole other
does, if it
conversation.
does.
But yeah,
But all right, so
but no, just I loved this one more than I did that, which
Yeah.
is saying a lot.
yeah, no, it's great. If you haven't read The Godfather, go read Jade City without magic. It's basically The Godfather.
Why would I?
Just go read The Godfather while watching a kung fu movie,
But
and you get Jade City.
But I just have anime on in the background.
Yeah.
Just all right.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right. Well, hope we didn't run all y'all off. I hope that our we didn't even talk about stuff that we didn't like, because really, I mean, other anything I didn't like about it,
We mentioned.
I meant why I got
during
it.
the
I got it. It was
There wasn't anything glaring in here that I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like
no,
this
it's
thing.
just such a solid, great book.
None of it was craft. All of it was intentional.
Yeah.
There was some poor decision making, but
Yeah, it makes it real. It makes you feel real.
Well,
you
I mean, it was intentional
Yeah.
for the. It
the
wasn't a
characters
mistake.
made poor decisions because that's who they are as characters, not
Right.
because
Yeah.
of any
Right.
fault of Fonda
Yeah.
Lee's.
Right.
Unlike
I don't want to talk about it.
Jim Butcher, Dresden Files. I should do just a 30-minute bonus episode
should.
where I bitch about Jim. I love Jim Butcher. I love everything he's done except Dresden Files. Fuck
Which everyone loves.
All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in the coming week. I hope that the blinds of your week are open to let in just the right amount of light that you like, letting gentle rays of sunshine bathe down upon you. And may the blessing of the beard be upon you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Books, Beards, Booze. Our co-hosts are Bob, Derek, and Tanya. Our producer is Bob. For more information, visit our website, booksbeardsbooze.com. Follow our social media at Tales by Bob. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate, subscribe, and share. Okay, bye.